Right. Welcome back. Now that we covered some of the basic functionalities in Console GH package, which usually fits typical workflows when you use GitHub. In this video, I'm going to focus on doing things like cloning multiple repositories at the same time or saving multiple files, um, and show you how it can be more efficiently done when you do things inside Emacs. This is really where you can start seeing the benefit of using something like Consult.gh and dealing with GitHub and GitHub repositories from within Emacs rather than going to the browser. So let me start by showing you how to clone multiple repositories at the same time. So I'm going to do meta x consult gh orgs, and I'm going to search for multiple users. So I'm going to select my own users, Armin Darish, and then I'm also select Minat. Okay, two different users. And when I enter, I see a list of repositories for both of those accounts. Note that for my own account, I also see the private repositories. So and let's say I want to clone consult.gh and consult from that. So in this case, I can search even for consult, and I get a narrowed down list of repos in both accounts that have the term consult in them. And then I'm going to pull up embark menu. So that is bound to command dot in my setup. And then I hit space, which selects this first candidate the cursor is on now. So and then I'm going to move down on Minat Consult, do the same thing, pull the embark menu with command dot and hit space. So now I selected both of those candidates, and now I'm going to pull embark menu again, command dot, and there is this function here bound to capital A, embark act all. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, I am going to hit capital A, shift A, and then now whatever embark action I select will be run on both of those candidates. So let me go to the embark help menu with command H and search for clone. It's bound to C, so I'm going to select this clone repo. And you can see that consult.gh is asking me if I want to clone two repos. I say yes. It's asking me to confirm I want to clone this repo, Armin Darvish consult.gh, yes. And it's asking me for a path. So I'm going to let's put it here in this folder and save it as consult.gh. And it's going to ask me the same thing for Minat consult. Again, I want to put it in this folder as name consult. All right, and now if I go to that folder on my machine, you can see that both repositories are cloned. Uh, Now, this may not be super useful when you're doing many different repositories if you have to go through the same menu and select path. So there is a better way of doing that, and I'm going to show you how you can do this. So there is this variable in consult.gh package, um, confirm before clone. So I set this to nil. That means that instead of asking you for a path to clone the repositories, it's going to use another variable, consult.gh default clone directory. And if you set that to, let's say here, I set it to demo-code. So if you set this one and set confirm before clone nil to nil, then consult.gh will clone the repositories in this path using the default name of the repository. So let me evaluate this. So now I'm going to do same thing. Console gh orgs, Armin Darvish, and add. And I'm going to narrow down to console packages. Select this one, select this one, act on all, and clone. And it's asking me if I want to do both. And as you see, this time it didn't ask me to select path. It just went ahead and cloned both repositories. And if I go to that path that I just used, you can see that both repositories are cloned. So this is very useful when you want to clone a bunch of different packages, maybe when you're setting up a new system, uh, to just quickly find them within Emacs and clone them. Now, we can do similar things with files. So let's say you want to save multiple files. So I can do console gh find file, console gh main branch, and let's say I just want to save readme and license here. So I do embark menu again, space to select, embark menu, space to select, embark, act on all, and I don't remember the key binding for saving files, so I'm gonna pull menu and look for save. Okay, it's bound to S. Console gh embark save file. So when I run that, it asks me if I want to save two files. Yes, and it's asking me for path to save. So let's do demo slash and the same thing for the second file, demo slash yes. All right. Similar to cloning repositories, you also have variables that console gh ask for path before save. If you set this to nil, then console will use this other variable, console gh default save directory, which I think I have it set to downloads by default. So with this setting, you can also have console to save files without confirming the path every time, which might be useful if you want to save a lot of files at the same time. I'm not going to do that right here. Instead, I'm going to show you another interesting thing you can do with multiple files. So let's say I want to look at the difference between two different files in two different branches of the same repository. Normally you have to clone and then do diff, but here I can show you how I can do that without even cloning. So I'm gonna do console gh find file, and I'm gonna select minat consult, and then CRM separator, comma, and then I select minat consult again. So I select the same repository twice. And if I hit enter, so it's asked me to select the branch for the first one. I'm gonna select main. And then for the second one, I'm going to select CRM. And it has a list of files in both grouped by the branch. So let's say I search for consult.el. So you can see that I have both in two different branches. And I'm going to look at the preview of both. So I'm going to do command or meta O. I get a preview of the first one. Meta O, a preview of the second one. So now I have both files from two different branches on the same repo open in some buffers inside Emacs. And if you can look at the tabs here, up here, you can see console.el from main branch and from CRM branch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel this search in console.gh, and then I'm going to do vdiff buffers. And I'm going to look for consult.el. and I see both branches. So I select that one, and then I select the main branch, and now I see a diff between the two different branches. For example, here there is some white space that has been removed, and etc. All right, now let me go back to my dashboard. Uh, Note that you can also do this with files that belong in completely different repositories. Normally, that it may not be useful to compare files between different repositories, but let's say, for example, you want to look at different licenses in two different repositories. So what I'm going to do here is meta x consult gh find file. I'm going to select minat consult, and then system crafters crafted Emacs. Because I know those two have different licenses. One is using MIT license. So let's select main branch on consult and master branch on crafted Emacs and narrow down to license. And I can do meta O, and I see the license on uh, Minat consult. And I can do meta O for crafted Emacs, and I get a preview of both licenses. And if you want, you can just cancel this, jump to um, this license from Crafted Emacs, and then just open a second buffer next to it and jump to the other one. And now I have both of them next to each other, and I can look at the differences between the two. You can also save files from across different repositories or open them in browser at the same time. So there are all sorts of different workflows that you can think of that you can run on multiple files, multiple repositories at the same time, which would be very useful for automation if you interact with GitHub a lot and with all sorts of different repositories and files. I think Consult.gh can provide so many functionalities that are superior to using something like the browser. Another interesting example might be looking at two same file uh, between repositories where one is a fork of another, and look at, for example, a diff between those two. So let's see how we can do that here. So I'm going to run the same thing again, consult gh find file. This time I'm going to select minat embark and Antolin embark. So minat has forked the embark repository from Antolin. And I'm going to select the align branch from Minat version and master branch from OAntoline. And now I get a list of files in both repositories, and I say embark.el, and I hit meta O to open a preview of the one from Minat, and meta O to open the other to open a preview from the one from OAntoline. And then I cancel this and I run vdiff buffers again. And if I search for embark.el, one from master branch on OAntoline account and one from align branch on Minat, and I can see a diff between those two files and compare uh, how Minat has changed things and what are the differences. Um, I hope this is useful. You can see there are all sorts of functionalities here. You can run on multiple files, multiple repos, compare different things, clone multiple repositories, save multiple files, all within Emacs. And I think it shows you how this can be a lot more powerful than using the browser or trying to run things from Git command in a shell. And I hope you find this package useful.